Welcome again to the book of Job. We now move to the third dialogue and chapter 28. Our sequence is very straightforward. The third dialogue, the speeches which in part are a little bit jumbled, and finally the cool reflection of chapter 28. Here's the basic layout once again in 5 parts. We're still in part 2, the dialogues with the 3 friends, chapters 3 to 31, all terrific poetry. The first 2 speeches in the third dialogue are relatively clear. ELIPHAZ speaks in chapter 22 and Job in chapters 23 to 24. But as you can see, the BILDAD speech is somewhat broken up, and the next Job speech is somewhat broken up, but the final Zophar speech is fairly straightforward. The speech of ELIPHAZ in Job chapter 22 is in 3 parts. He begins with a charge of gross sin, that Job has practiced depravity beyond bounds. He then goes on to say Job has actually sided with the wicked. But ELIPHAZ reminds him that God judges the wicked. And then finally, ELIPHAZ recommends him to come to terms with God while he still has the chance, calling God this time Shaddai, in other words, take your punishment. The mood of this ELIPHAZ speech is very superior, and the teaching is that Job is as guilty as he could be. Let him be sensible and come to terms with God. Perhaps a key verse is Job 22:21, reconcile yourself with God and be at peace with him. In this way your prosperity will be good. Job's response is very blunt. In chapter 23, 1 to 17, he says he does indeed want to face God, but as an upright and innocent man. And then in chapter 24, several steps are taken. In verse 1, the issue at stake. How is it that the righteous cannot see what's going on? And then in verses 2 to 12, the exploitation of the poor. It seems clear that God ignores the cry of the exploited. And in verses 13 to 17, there are flagrant lawbreakers. They know God won't do anything. In chapter 24, 19 to 21, nevertheless, the destiny of the wicked is they are swept away. So Job holds on to some sense of God's justice. And in verses 22 to 25, God does indeed punish the wicked, and he asks ELIPHAZ, prove me wrong. The tone here is still frustrated and angry, but faithful. And the teaching is, almost against appearances, that God is just. And a key verse is in 24:25. If this is not so, who can prove me a liar and reduce my words to nothing? This is where the verse numbering gets a little bit tricky. As you could see, BILDAD's speech stretches over chapter 25, 1 to 6, and then chapter 26, 5 to 9, and 26, 10 to 14. This is one reconstruction. He begins by reflecting on mortals and the moon before God, and reminds Job that humans are just worms. Then he reflects on the awesome mysteries of God, always beyond our understanding. And then he reflects on the cosmic order. God controls everything, and humans really haven't a clue. The mood here is one of amazement, and the teaching is it's all beyond our understanding. Maybe the key verse is 26:14. Indeed, these are but the outer fringes of his ways. How faint is the whisper we hear of him, but who can understand the thunder of his power? Again, Job's speech this time is also a little bit jumbled. So some verses are from chapter 26, 1 to 4, and the rest is from chapter 27, 1 to 6, and 7 to 12. He begins with an introduction, quite sharp. Don't expect advice from the uninformed. And then we have Job's oath of integrity. He swears that he is innocent. And then, with lots of energy, he utters a curse on his adversary. And in the course of this curse, there are many, many hard questions are asked. The mood this time is both defensive and upright. Job knows that he is innocent, and he knows that God is upright. Impossible to square the two. In the curse in chapter 27, verse 7, he says, "May my enemy be like the wicked, my adversary like the unrighteous." At this point, Zophar intervenes in 27:13 to 23. What happens the wicked? Justice catches up with them finally. The tone here is one of clarity, but lacking in sympathy. Simply, God punishes the wicked. And in 27:13 we read accordingly, "This is the portion of the wicked man, allotted by God, the inheritance that evildoers receive from the Almighty." The next moment in the book is a quite marvellous poem on wisdom. And all we can do is read it and enjoy it. So here are the first 8 verses. "Surely there is a mine for silver, and a place where gold is refined. Iron is taken from the ground, and rock is poured out as copper. Man puts an end to the darkness. He searches the farthest recesses for the ore in the deepest darkness. Far from where people live, he sinks a shaft. In places travellers have long forgotten. Far from other people he dangles and sways. The earth from which food comes is overturned below as though by fire. A place where stones are sapphires that contain dust of gold. A hidden path no bird of prey knows, no falcon's eye has spotted it. Proud beasts have not set foot on it, and no lion has passed along it." The poem continues, "On the flinty rock man has set to work with his hand. He has overturned mountains at their bases. He has cut out channels through the rocks. His eyes have spotted every precious thing. He has searched out the sources of the rivers, and what was hidden he has brought into the light." But wisdom, where can it be found? Where is the place of understanding? Mankind does not know its place. It cannot be found in the land of the living. The deep says, "It is not with me." And the sea says, "It is not with me." Fine gold cannot be given in exchange for it, nor can its price be weighed out in silver. It cannot be measured out for purchase with the gold of Ophir, with precious onyx or sapphires. Neither gold nor crystal can be compared with it, nor can a vase of gold match its worth. Of copper and jasper no mention will be made. The price of wisdom is more than pearls. The topaz of Cush cannot be compared with it. It cannot be purchased with pure gold. And finally, but wisdom, where does it come from? Where is the place of understanding? For it has been hidden from the eyes of every living creature, and from the birds of the sky it has been concealed. Destruction and death say, "With our ears we have heard a rumour about where it can be found." God understands the way to it, and he alone knows its place. For he looks to the ends of the earth and observes everything under the heavens. When he made the force of the wind and measured the waters with a gauge, when he imposed a limit for the rain and a path for the thunderstorm, then he looked at wisdom and assessed its value. He established it and examined it closely. And he said to mankind, "The fear of the Lord, that is wisdom, and to turn away from evil is understanding."